On Friday night, Mrs. Stevenson is very busy calling the operator, trying to figure out why his husband is not answering the call.
Oh dear.
Your call, please.
Operator, I've been trying to call Maury Hill 40098 for the last half hour, and it's been very busy. I don't see how it could be busy that long. Can you try that number for me, please?
Maury Hill 40098. One moment, please.
I don't see how it could very be busy all this time. It's my husband's office. He's working late tonight. And I'm all alone here in the house. My health is very poor and I've been feeling so nervous all
Maury
day.
Hill 40098.
Hello?
Hello? Hello? Is Mr. Stevenson there?
Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hello, George?
Yes, sir. This is George speaking. Hello? Who is this? What number am I calling, please?
I'm here with our client.
Oh, good. Is everything okay? Is the coast clear for tonight?
Yes, George. He says the coast clear for tonight.
Okay.
Where are you now?
In the phone booth. Don't worry. Everything's okay.
That's right. At 11 o'clock, there should be only one light visible from the street.
Yeah, I know. At 11:15, a train crosses the bridge. It makes a noise. In case your window's open and she should scream. Oh, hello? What number is this, please? Okay, I understand. I tell you. That's 11:15, the train.
Yeah. You remember everything else, George?
Because our client does not wish to make her suffer long.
That's right. You'll use a knife.
Yes. Oh, how awful. How unspeakable awful.
Your call, please.
Operator, I've been just cut off.
I'm sorry, madam. What number were you calling?
Well, I was to be calling Maury Hill 40098, but it wasn't. Some wires must have got crossed. I was cut into a wrong number, and I've just heard the most dreadful thing. Something about a murder, and operator, you simply have to retrace that call at once.
I beg your pardon. Madam, I don't quit.
Oh, I know it was a wrong number and I had no business listening, but these two men, they were cold-blooded fiends and they are going to murder somebody. Some poor innocent women who was all alone in a house near a bridge, and we've got to stop them. We just got to.
What number were you calling, please?
That doesn't matter. This was a wrong number and you dialed it for me, and we've got to find out what it was immediately.
What number were you calling?
Oh, why are you so stupid? Do you mean to tell me that you can find out what number was just now?
I'll connect you with the chief operator.
Oh, I think it's perfectly shameful. Now look, it was obviously a case of some little slip of the finger. I told you to try Maury Hill 40098 for me. You dialed it, but your finger must have slipped, and I was connected with some other phone, and I could hear them, but they couldn't hear me. Now, I simply failed to see why you couldn't make that same mistake again, on purpose, why you couldn't try to dial Maury Hill 40098 in the same careless sort of way.
Maury Hill 40098. I will try to get it for you, madam.
Well, thank you.
I'm sorry. Maury Hill 40098 is busy.
Operator!
Your call, please.
You didn't try to get that wrong number at all. I asked you explicitly and all you did was dial correctly.
I am sorry. What number are you calling?
Well, can you for once forget what number am I calling and do something for me? Now, I want you to trace that call. It's my civic duty and it's your civic duty to trace that call and apprehend those dangerous killers. And if you won't...
I will connect you with the chief operator.
Well, please. Oh dear.
This is the chief operator.
Oh, Chief Operator, I want you to trace the call. A telephone call, immediately. I don't know where it came from or who was making it, but it's absolutely necessary that it be tracked down because it was about a murder that someone's planning. A terrible, cold-blooded murder of a poor innocent woman tonight at 11:15.
I see.
Well, can you trace it for me? Can you track those men?
I'm not certain. It depends.
It depends on what.
Depends on whether the call is still going on. If it's a live call, we can trace on the equipment. If it's been disconnected, we can't.
Disconnected?
The parties have stopped talking to each other.
Oh, but of course they must have stopped talking to each other by now. That was at least 5 minutes ago, and they didn't sound like a type that would make a long call.
Well, I could try tracing it. May I have your name, please?
Mrs. Stevenson, Mrs. Albert Stevenson. But listen,
Telephone number, please.
Plaza 42295. But if you go on wasting all this time,
Why do you want this call traced, please?
my reason, well, for heaven's sake, isn't it obvious? I've overheard 2 men. These 2 men sounded like killers. They're dangerous. They're going to murder these women at 11:15 tonight, and I thought the police ought to know.
Have you reported this to the police?
No, how could I?
You want this call to check purely as a private individual?
Yes, but meanwhile,
I'm sorry, Mrs. Stevenson, but I'm afraid we couldn't make this check for you and trace the call just on your say-so. As a private individual, we'd have to have something more official.
oh, for heaven's sake. You mean to tell me I can't report this going to be a murder without getting tied up in all this red tape? Why? It's perfectly idiotic. Well, alright. I call the police. The police department. Get me the police department, please.
Thank you.
Oh, dear. They have to dial it. Can you ring them directly?
Ringing the police department. Police station, present 43. Duffy speaking.
Police department, this is Mrs. Stevenson, Mrs. Albert Smythe Stevenson of 5353 North Sutton Place. I'm calling to report the murder. I mean, the murder hasn't been committed yet. I just overheard plans for over the telephone, over a wrong number that the operator gave me. I've been trying to trace down the call myself, but everybody's so stupid, and I guess in the end, you're the only people who could do anything. They were going to take your rings and bracelets and use a knife. Well, it's unnerved me dreadfully, and I'm not well, and I feel so nervous.
Yes, I see. When was all this, ma'am?
About 8 minutes ago. Then, oh, you can do something. You do understand?
What's your name, ma'am?
Mrs. Stevenson. Mrs. Albert Stevenson.
And your address?
53 North Sutton Place. That's near a bridge, the Queensbridge Bridge, you know. And we have a private patrolman on our street and 2nd Avenue.
And what was the number you were calling?
Murray Hill 40098. But that wasn't the number I overheard. I mean, Murray Hill 40098 is my husband's office. He's working late tonight, and I was trying to reach him to ask him to come home. I'm an invalid, you know, and it's the maid's night off, and I hate to be alone, even though we say as long as I have the telephone here right beside my bed.
Well, we'll look into it. Mrs. Stevenson, and one if we can check with the telephone company. Police station, present 43. Duffy speaking.
Police department, this is Mrs. Stevenson, Mrs. Albert Smythe Stevenson of 5353 North Sutton Place. I'm calling to report a murder.
Oh.
I mean, the murder hasn't been committed yet. I just overheard plans for it over the telephone, over a wrong number that the operator gave me. I've been trying to trace down the call myself, but everybody is so stupid, and I guess in the end, you're the only people who could do anything.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
It was a perfectly definite murder. I heard their plans distinctly. Two men were talking and they were going to murder some women at 11:15 tonight. She lived in a house near a bridge. Are you listening to me?
Oh, yes, Mom.
And there was a private patrolman on the street. He was going to go around for a beer on 2nd Avenue. And there was some third man, a client, who was paying to have these poor women murdered. But the telephone company said they couldn't check the call. The parties have stopped talking. I've already taken care of that.
Oh, you have?
Yes, and personally, I feel you ought to do something more immediate and drastic than you just check the call. What good does checking the call do if they stop talking? By the time you track it down, they have already committed the murder.
Yeah, well, we will take care of it. Don't you worry.
Well, I'd say the whole thing calls for a search, a complete and true search of the whole city. I'm very near the bridge and I'm not very far, you said, from 2nd Avenue, and I know I'd feel a whole lot better if you sent around a radio card to this neighborhood at once.
What makes you think the murder is going to be committed in your neighborhood, ma'am?
Well, I don't know. Only the coincidence is so horrible. 2nd Avenue, the patrolman, the bridge.
Yeah, well, 2nd Avenue, is a very long street, ma'am. And you know how many bridges are there in the city of New York alone. No one mentioned Brooklyn, State Island, and Queen and the Bronx.
I know all that.
No, it isn't some little house on Staten Island, on some little 2nd Avenue you never heard about. How do you know they're even talking about New York at all?
But I heard the call on the New York dialing system.
Maybe it was a long distance call. You overheard, Telephone are funny things. Now, look. Why don't you look at it? This was supposing you hadn't broke it on telephone. Supposing you go your husband the way you always do. You wouldn't be so upset, would you?
I suppose not, but it sounded so inhuman, so cold-blooded.
Well, a lot of muscles, ang buto?